This is Success Beyond the Score, giving insights and tips to help you learn how to build your music career from the best in the field by Millicent Stephenson. Millicent is a multi-award winning saxophonist and endorser of Harry Hartman's Fiber Reeds. She is currently serving on the Executive Committee of the Musicians Union. With over 40 years' experience in the creative industry, Millicent has honed her performance and business skills. She provides personal development training and coaching via her online platform, successbeyondthescore.com.
Hi, and welcome back to Success Beyond the Score. I'm Millicent Stephenson, and today we continue the interview with Abigail Kelly. She's going to let us know about how she coped with some of those career lows, the things that happened during lockdown, the nice side of touring and dealing with the mundane. And of course, she's going to give her 5 tips to help you build your music career. By the way, you will notice a slight difference in the sound quality of the interview. That's because at the moment, because of coronavirus and social distancing requirements, the interview took place using Zoom over the internet, but the content is A+. Here is Abigail Kelly. We've heard great highs from your career, but I just wondered, have there been hurdles or any sort of major lows, not just for this year, but in trying to make it as a female soprano, operatic soprano? Has there been any sort of barriers or anything that you've experienced that?
I find that, first of all, the operatic industry, it's huge. There are 6, 7 huge music colleges across the UK, all churning out singers every single year. As well as all of the other conservatories in the world that churn out opera singers constantly. So the perception that there aren't many opera singers out there, or it's, it might be quite rare to meet an opera singer, but there are a whole load of us out there at any one given time. Okay. all vying for the same jobs. So you just have to have that element of resilience and just say, there may be hurdles, but I'm going to try my best to overcome them. I think for me personally, in terms of lows in my career, have only really been when I've not really been doing anything at all. So that the first few years outside of music college, I came out of music college, I started working for English Touring Opera straight away. I was in work. I was like, this is fantastic. This is great. And then after a while, it's sort of, I went for many auditions for various opera companies, for various agents. And I just I wasn't getting anything. I wasn't getting the kind of work that I thought I should be getting. I wasn't, and I look back on that now and I just think to myself, well, it was because I wasn't ready. That wasn't my time right then. I needed to just keep plugging away, keep going. There were so many Jamaican phrases that come to my head and so many things that my mother would say to me. Even now, there are gigs that I get that I know that I am sort of like 4th person down on a list of however many people to kind of get through a few people before I'm gotten to for a gig. I don't feel any way about that. Okay. The fact that they got to me through that list means that gig was always meant to be mine somehow, cosmically. It was always meant to be for me. And I feel that way about every single knockback, about every single successful audition I have, about every single stepping into a role because someone is ill. I feel that way about all of it. And it's brilliant to ride high on the crest of a wave when you're feeling like you're doing really, really well. But it's also really important to acknowledge what it feels like when you're not working to the level that you want to be working at. just means that, hey, you've got time to therefore work on something else, work on your mental health, work on your physical health and well-being, work on your family surroundings, get that picture that you wanted to put up on your wall, put up, you can be working on other things. So hurdle wise, I don't know. It sounds a bit weird to say that I try not to see hurdles. I'm like that person who, you see these YouTube clips, these silly clips sometimes. The 200 meters hurdles is something that I love watching. I just find it so interesting. And there's this sort of technique to it where if you clear the first one, then you're on a roll, you clear the next one, and it's great. When you clear the first one and then you hit the next one, it takes you out of your stride, and then you start hitting the next one and hitting the next one and hitting the next one. What I would rather do is just take myself off that track with all the hurdles on. Yeah. Just scooch over to the left-hand side, run on the piece of grass that has no hurdles, that may be a little bit slower than the tarmac with the hurdles on, but there aren't any hurdles. So I'm not going to see them. I'm just going to keep running. I'm going to see them out of the corner of my eye, maybe acknowledge them. Maybe acknowledge them as future Abigail acknowledging the past hurdles that have been, but I'm not going to see them right now. I'm going to keep my eye on that finish line. I'm just going to keep going on the slow grass.
So you find a way. So you're saying it doesn't matter how you get there, you'll get there, and if it means there's a bit of a detour, you'll take that detour. You'll get that's what
I'll take the detour and I'll take the slow path. And if I have to stop for a little bit of water, or someone has to come along and help me a couple of steps on the way, then that's my path. That's my path. But I'm not diminishing the fact that there are hurdles that as we discussed earlier on, there are massive hurdles in everything in life, financial situations, home life situations. I am very fully aware that I have, I'm a person of a certain age, that I don't have dependents. So I have been gifted a certain amount of extra time that I'm, not spending looking after somebody. I'm not spending worrying about childcare or picking somebody up from school, or, that sort of logistics of life. That for some people can be a hurdle, and especially in the musical industry, when you're touring a lot, I acknowledge that at some point I'm going to probably feel like I am on the track with all of the hurdles, and it's going to feel really difficult and really feel like I'm going to have to jump over it. But I'm going to remember this conversation I had with you, and just remember that run on the grass is what I need to do. But yeah, I think that, like I said before, I'm trying to remember that phrase that my mom says, what is feel can be unfeel. That's it.
Oh yeah.
What is feel can be unfeel. Yeah. And that's how I feel about life in general.
Wow. Well, you mentioned touring, because I know you've gone to Johannesburg, you've been to the Cayman Islands, you've been to Germany, you've been to all sorts of places doing all sorts of wonderful stuff. But how does it feel when you get off the plane, you're returning home, get off that plane, you get in a train, a coach, wherever, you get back to the West Midlands or wherever your home is for that time, and you turn the key and you get home? How does it feel to get back to the mundane, washing up those dishes and doing your laundry and going shopping? What? Because of course you've been on a stage with everybody applauding you. Abigail, you're wonderful.
See, the thing is the mundane never stops. That's the trick of the whole. It's the great, I call it the great con, that my operatic life and my touring life and all of that, to the outside world looking in, must seem really glamorous. It is not glamorous at all. Oh my goodness. Some of the dressing rooms that I have been in, I just go, oh my gosh, I have no mirror. How am I going to do my makeup? What am I going to wear? The lights? What is it? It's the mundane is a continuous thing that follows you, no matter if you are in Johannesburg. And sometimes, I remember the gig I did in Johannesburg actually was one of the more glamorous things I did. it was lovely. It was quite something. I stayed, so I was invited to Johannesburg to perform with Opera South Africa, and I was invited by the Jamaican consulate over there, and I was put up with the Jamaican diplomat of Johannesburg. So I stayed in her lovely, diplomats get real nice houses. They get put up in some fancy places when they live in certain countries. So I stayed with her in Pretoria, and it was just like a really lovely house. She had a personal trainer who'd come over. So I was like, well, fine, I'm here. I might as well do, there was a little swimming pool and all of that sort of stuff. And that's all great and wonderful and fantastic. But still, there are gigs that are nowhere near as glamorous as that at all.
What's the worst? What's the worst that you've had? What's the worst?
I can't think. There have definitely been, like I said about dressing rooms, there have definitely been dressing rooms where there are either no mirrors, which when you're supposed to go on stage and do a full face and all of that sort of stuff is a little bit there's nowhere to put your makeup or anything. There's just like you've got your makeup balanced on your knees and just sort of like trying to do something in a bathroom. The amount of toilet cubicles that I've had to change into a full dressing, big old ball gown, changing, and this woman comes out of this, she's like looking you up and down like you're mad, and you're like just wandering around in a big old ball dress. Yeah, but those are I love the juxtaposition of that though, because the idea, and I do it too. I watch people who are working at the Met, and I watch people who are at the Scala, and I go, oh my God, they must lead such glamorous lives. And I know fully well that they probably don't, because I don't, but I mean, it's a whole different level, but I don't. And I, the funny, crazy stuff that happens behind the scenes. And I think that keeps me grounded as well. The gigs they are not necessarily glamorous, but they are so fun, are things where you are putting on an opera in an outdoor tent in the middle of a field, and you've got porty cabins, and your dressing room is just a tent on the other side of the field, and there's no electricity and stuff like that. Is wonderful because it's just so fun and it's so character building as well.
So you're in your wellies and a ball gown then, is that what it is?
Oh yeah, me and my wellies in a ball gown. I love that kind of thing. I just think it's so fun, and I think it's so down to earth. And if people could see that side of the operatic world, they'd go, yeah, this is actually, this is quite something else. This is quite fun. There's a combination. Some glamorous, some not so glamorous. Yeah.
I think my in terms of dressing rooms, I was doing a wedding in a wedding event, so a wedding location in the south of England. So it's just a very small, sort of very nice, everything that you need there. But I had to change in a cupboard, and there was chairs and tables, no mirror, no lighting. My husband had to stand by the door so no one would come in. And I'm there squeezing into my dress and fixing up. It was crazy. I think I took a picture of it. I meant to do a blog or post on it. I somewhere in the camera, but it was absolutely. I mean, we had to make space in the cupboard. There were chairs stacked this high and that's tables, brilliant. And
that's brilliant.
But the location was fantastic. But I had to change.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the thing. I did one of the in-person things I did this year, which was so cool. I performed inside Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery, some arias, operatic arias, and I had this wedding dress on, and it was all kind of cute, and inside the gallery itself, and it was just like, I'm singing in the gallery and it's lovely. And then I went to go and get out of my costume, and it's just a little cupboard with all sorts of items everywhere, and you're sort of trying to take everything off, like, it's not always as glamorous as it seems.
No, it isn't. For anyone who's wanting to have a full-time career in music, what were the sort of tips that you would give?
Oh, now I'm gonna do 2 tips. My first 2 tips are going to be extremely contradictory. So my first tip would be to have a side hustle, so that you have something that is, you know, responsible for your main source of income while you're you know, working on your musical career. For me, that was teaching. I was very, very lucky that it was teaching singing and teaching music. So it was, you know, accompanied what I was trying to achieve. And it's something that I love doing. And it's something that I continue to do now. So you know, teaching is my side hustle. It's not really my side hustle anymore. It's, you know, a big, huge part of my career. My second tip is going to totally contradict that tip, which is don't have a safety blanket. Because if you do have a safety blanket or a safety net, then you will always have something to fall back on. And you might not kind of go, I have to do this, otherwise I have nothing else. So, and I think those 2 pieces of advice are for 2 different types of people. I needed a safety blanket because I'm that kind of person. That for me, I don't gamble. I'm not that kind of, you know, put it all on red and just go for it all. I would be like, yeah, I'm just going to split it, you know, put some on red, some on black. That's my personality. But for some people, when they need that final push, that big thing that is going to make them do the thing that they've always wanted to do, take the safety net away. Just go for it wholeheartedly. My third tip is know your stuff. Be on it all the time. That's something that I've been discussing a lot with people this year. I have a fear of turning up at a rehearsal and not knowing my stuff, not knowing the words, not knowing the music, feeling like I haven't done my job, feeling inadequate. But you know, the amount of rehearsals that I've turned up to where there's somebody else in the room who has not opened the score, has not looked at it, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of go, firstly, I think, wow, you are brave. Secondly, I think, I hope you're not going to waste that time. And then thirdly, I'm like, yeah, you know, the energy, the positive energy that you must exude to believe that that's what you can do to walk into a room without having prepped. I bow down to that energy, because that is some confidence there that I do not have. But I would say, know your stuff, practice, learn your repertoire. Learn, just, you know who you are as a performer. Maybe is number 4, actually. Learn who you are as a performer. As a performer, I'm the kind of person who is I throw myself into everything wholeheartedly. I know how I like to come across at a workshop, compared with how I come across when I'm teaching individuals, compared with how I come across when I'm teaching youngsters. So I'm not saying I've got like loads of different versions of Abigail that walk into a different room in, a different way, but I definitely know what I want to get across depending on what I'm doing and, what I want to achieve. So know who you are as an artist. No, that's also the way you hold yourself, the way you walk. Practice all of those things. You walk into an audition, know how you're going to walk into that audition, bring the energy that you want to bring for that audition, and then own it. Know what you want to wear, know how you want to represent. I chose today to put on this and to put on these, and to know who you are and know what you want to exude. For years I thought, I'm an opera singer, so therefore I have to wear a scarf, and I have to wear a jacket and a suit, and I have to put my hair up, and I have to do this, that, and the other. And actually, that is not who I am all the time. Be who you are. Know who you are as an artist, because you as an individual bring something extremely different and special to whatever genre of music it is that you are breaking into. And that's when people are going to go, I'm interested in that person. I'm not interested in this person being a version of everything else I've seen. I am interested in that person being exactly what they are. And fifth one, I'm going to say, don't take it too seriously. That is that contradicts almost all the rest of the things that I said. But like we were joking about the fact that we go off and we do gigs and there's no dressing room. That's like it's kind of, on one hand, it's not cool, but on the other hand, it's the sort of thing that you just go, hey, you know what, this is what I'm having to deal with today. I'm going to get on with it. I'm going to get through it. And it's not going to affect my performance. My performance is rock solid because I did tip number 4, which was to, tip number 3, which was to practice and know your stuff. So, don't take stuff too seriously. Don't take it too seriously is what I would say.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. I think I have one little thing I wanted to squeeze in just before we wrap up, and that is back on to know your stuff. You say you have to learn lots and lots and lots of stuff to do an opera 3 hours. What's your sort of tips for memorizing that lot of information?
Well, so I would say that when you're memorizing things, there are so many memory techniques that you can use. So you've got your muscle memory, which is just if it's words, for example, or piano or whatever instrument it is that you're doing. Obviously, the more you physically practice it, the more that your muscles will just get used to doing what you want them to do. I would say then you've got mental memory, which is where if you just have it running in the back of your head, just over and over and over and on a loop. And the way I do that is I very often record myself either saying lines, or I record myself speaking the words to the either the song or the aria or whatever it is, in whatever language it is, in the rhythm, so that I don't then have to tire my voice out by repeating it out loud all the time. Because otherwise it just it takes a toll. So I have my voice, but it's an external source, which means that I can get on with washing up, get on with doing the hoovering, get on with walking to work, and doing all of that sort of stuff. So those are those two, and then one that's a bit of a combination of the two is I write it down. I write it out. I go, I write it down a few times. I will either leave it in a notebook and then I will turn the page and I will write it out again until it is totally just in my mind memory and in my written muscle memory as well. Those are the techniques that work for me. But I think that's because when I was, I went to dance school when I was 4 years old, and I was immediately had to learn a dance routine, not only learn the dance routine facing in one direction, but then we would be asked to start it again on the other foot, on the other side of the room, and going in the opposite direction. So that was conditioning from a very, very early age to do left brain, right brain stuff. So write stuff down. I would also say that make it the last thing you look at night. Just look at it at night, put it down, go to sleep, look at it the next morning, go about your business. Because your brain, when it sleeps, it processes all of the information that you did in the day. It processes everything. So when you're feeling like you're memorizing something and it's not going well, put it down, have the rest of the day, go to sleep, wake up the next day, it will be in there somehow. So those are my memory tips.
Now, I know I've seen one of your books, or a couple of your books, when I visited you once. You showed me what you had to memorize, but just for the listeners, I mean, if you've got one close by, you can show it for those who are watching the video. But if not, how many pages are we talking? We're talking
about 500 pages roughly. 500 pages, about 500 pages of Italian. Man,
Wow.
it's a lot. It's a
Wow.
lot. And you get to the point, I get to the point often where it sends me a little bit loopy, where I will go to sleep and I will sort of get stuck in a weird loop where the beginning of the opera, and it always happens, I always come back to Marriage of Figaro because it's always that one that it happens to. I will start at the beginning of the opera and it will go in my head, and then I'll go, oh my gosh, I can't sleep, until I have gone through the entirety of the opera in my head at speed. And then eventually I'll go and go to sleep. But yeah, it's a lot to cram in. But the amazing thing is that you have to do that with so many different things overlapping each other, that I've spent a month memorizing something that if you gave me the book now, I would open it and go, I can't remember how this goes. I have no idea how this goes. And then you have to start the process all over again. But it will be in there. It will be in there somehow. It will just, the floodgates will open. It will be all back again. But the amount of information that you have to take in and then throw out. Because I will often do the same opera in either Italian, I will do that opera again in English, and then I will do the opera again in maybe a totally different English translation. So that's 3 vying versions of the same thing going on in your head, and bits and pieces of it that you remember from other performances that you've done of it. And oh my gosh, it's something. Fish oils, I have a lot of fish oils. That helps with the memory as well.
That's right. That's fantastic. So listen, where can people find out more about you? Maybe check out if you got another show going, maybe check out if you got stuff out on YouTube. Where's the go-to place for them to do that?
Well, at the moment on YouTube, you can have a look for an online children's singing lesson that was with English Touring Opera. I also did an opera for children that's about 10 minutes long, based on a children's book called We Have a Plan. That's on YouTube as well, with English Touring Opera 2. I've just done a really highlight of my year. I've just done a really fantastic, if I do say so myself, choral Christmas concert with the London Symphony Orchestra, which was just an unbelievable experience. That's on YouTube. Have a look at Choral Christmas Concert, LSO, London Symphony Orchestra. I am not quite on Twitter at the moment, but I will be coming back to Twitter, I am sure. So you can find me on @Abigail Kelly Sop on there. And I think that's it. You'll probably just see me walking around Birmingham for the rest of that. That's where you can find me right now, walking around Birmingham.
Those tips for memorizing music. I'm going to try that out, actually. I just want to thank Abigail for a great interview, and I hope that her tips have helped you too. Now, please tune in again next time where I interview another guest on Success Beyond the Score. Who's it going to be? Well, you're going to have to wait to find out. But I will be advertising it on my website, millicentstephenson.com, successbeyondthescore.com. And of course, if you check out my social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, can't think of all the others, but they're there. There'll be adverts there as to who the next person is. And of course, while you're waiting, check out some of the previous episodes, maybe re-listen to Abigail, see what else you can pick up. And grab yourself a free copy of my e-booklet, Revealed. 25 Secrets of the Successful Gigging Musician, Singer, Rapper and Spoken Word Artist, which you can download from successbeyondthescore.com. I think that's it. Bye for now. See you soon.